That morning, as Kalen stepped onto the veranda, he was oblivious to the unseen gaze of death fixed upon him. The air hung still, a heavy quiet clinging to the ancient trees, and the earth itself seemed to hold its breath. It wasn't hot, nor was it cool, yet an unsettling strangeness permeated everything, a nameless disquiet that pricked at his senses. The Sablewood Savannah, nestled in the heart of the sunken coast, typically hummed with life at dawn. The rhythmic chirr of insects, the gentle sigh of the morning breeze rustling through dry leaves, the distant chorus of birds, all were part of its natural symphony. But this morning, that rhythm was shattered. It was as if nature had made a silent decree, sealing every mouth. Kalen stood amidst this profound silence, sipping his tea in slow, deliberate gulps. His gaze swept across the savannah's edge, over the land he had nurtured for decades. As was his custom, he first listened intently to his surroundings. This time, however, there were no familiar sounds, no slither of a reptile, no far-off bird cry. The only sound was his own breathing, and perhaps the earth's, which seemed to have paused with him. He left his simple dwelling, walking without his customary staff. An inexplicable urge pulled him forward, a silent calling he couldn't name. He was ready to follow wherever the path led. The ground beneath his feet was hard, yet yielding, crumbling slightly with each step before settling again. This subtle disarray felt like nature's own fragile balance, broken yet enduring. The path led him to an ancient clearing. He'd often seen tracks of the elusive shadow gazelle here, but these were different, deep, intricate, and in places almost swallowed by the earth. Kalen knelt, pressing his finger into the damp soil. These tracks, he realized, spoke of something large and stealthy, moving with urgency, yet impossible to identify. Just as he was about to turn, a sudden, immense pressure seized his left leg. He twisted, but it was too late. A hard, slippery force yanked him to the ground. As he fell, his head grazed a rocky outcrop, but he didn't lose consciousness. He lifted his eyes to the sky, which remained a motionless canvas of gray clouds. Time itself seemed to have frozen. Kalen struggled, but the constriction around his waist choked off his breath. His body slowly went numb. Everything around him, the earth, the sky, the trees, fell silent. Even nature seemed to avert its gaze from his impending fate. He could hear his own frantic heartbeat. A voice whispered, "Is this the end?" At that very moment, another sound, a deep crunch from his upper right, followed by a shifting mass. The snakes, sensing it, tensed their powerful muscles. Kalen felt them recoil from him. He was no longer their sole focus. A colossal weight was approaching. Its presence felt even through the ground. Each ponderous step echoed through the silent air. Kalen couldn't see it, but he felt its approach in the core of his being. He knew now. Something was coming, determined to shatter nature's eerie silence. Kalen lay motionless as the crushing weight tightened around his body, draining almost all his strength. The first serpent, a powerful coil adder, cinched from ankle to knee, mercilessly squeezing his muscles. The second, a thick stone constrictor, gripped his waist, anchoring his entire frame. The third, an enormous deep viper, coiled around his chest and neck, making every breath a struggle. His vision blurred, his eyes darkened, yet his mind remained lucid. The primal instinct to survive surged within him. Time and nature seemed to crawl, as if everything was trapped in this singular moment. There was only the writhing mass of serpents, the cold pressure on Kalen, and the unmoving clouds overhead. Not a sound, not a movement. The universe was utterly silent. Amidst this profound stillness, a shift began. A rustle, distinct and deliberate, stirred the dry grass near his right shoulder. It wasn't the sound of any ordinary creature. Kalen couldn't see it yet, but he began to discern the heavy impact of each step on the ground, the crushing of grass, the brittle snap of dried leaves. Individually, these sounds are not frightening. Together, they heralded something else entirely. The threat was growing, and now, Not only Kalen, but the serpents too, became acutely aware as a cloud of dust billowed at the edge of his blurred vision. A silhouette emerged, its powerful lines slowly sharpening. A muscular, heavy, and balanced gait. A figure with its head slightly bowed, eyes locked on its target. Shadows pooled beneath its eyes, but its gaze was unwavering. And then, the crimson mane appeared. It did not bare its fangs. It did not roar. But with its very presence, it shifted the balance of the wilderness. It was as if nature itself began to breathe again, exhaling with the arrival of the great beast. Its massive paws were planted firmly, muscles coiled with tension. Its eyes never strayed from the immediate threat, not even for a second, ignoring Kalen. One of the coil adders tried to retreat, but it was too late. The crimson mane lunged forward, claws tearing through the air. In that fleeting moment, Kalen's only thought was, is this creature here to save me, or is this merely the beginning of another end? The earth trembled as the lion landed, all its formidable power focused, its gaze fixed on its prey. It seized the nearest coil adder with a front paw, pinning it to the ground. The snake's body writhed, struggling, but the lion's claw was an unyielding stake. It could not move. In mere seconds, it was neutralized. The second serpent, the stone constrictor wrapped tightly around Kalen's waist, now became the lion's new target. The crimson mane lowered its head slightly, planting its hind legs firmly, then sprang. Its claws struck directly at the serpent's body. The snake was flung aside, but this time it was more prepared. It lunged back at the lion, its massive body whipping through the air, aiming for its neck. A furious struggle erupted in the dry grass. Claws, coils, dust, and raw muscle intertwined. Kalen was still on the ground, half-conscious, but he could breathe now. The crushing pressure on his chest had eased slightly. Blinking, he tried to survey his surroundings. He watched the lion through his blurry vision, feeling, for the first time in his life, both utterly helpless and profoundly grateful for a living creature. But the third serpent, the deep viper, remained, still squeezing his chest, stealing his breath. The crimson mane repositioned itself. After a moment's hesitation, it changed its focus. It approached Kalen, stepping squarely on the deep viper with its huge body. The serpent tried to uncoil, but failed. Kalen suddenly drew a deep, gasping breath. His chest expanded, air flooding his lungs. He was alive. Yet, in that instant, everything changed. As the lion momentarily recoiled, the two remaining serpents struck simultaneously. One wrapped itself around its neck, the other around its torso. This time, resistance was futile. The crimson mane fought, striking with its claws, attempting to sink its teeth into them. But the serpents wrapped themselves around its body in chilling synchronization. With every desperate movement, it lost blood. Its breathing became shallow. Its mighty muscles no longer responded as they once had. Suddenly, the entire forest fell silent. And then, the sound, a final, guttural roar. It was a deep, ferocious, heart-piercing call that echoed through every corner of the forest. Even the wind seemed to shift direction for a moment. Kalen tried to sit up, his arms trembling. He crawled towards the crimson mane. Their eyes met. In that moment, time simply stopped. They gazed at each other. They didn't speak. But that single look was a lifetime's worth of understanding. The crimson mane slowly sank to the ground, its powerful neck bowing. It rested its head on the earth. Warm blood seeped from beneath its magnificent fur. Its breathing became shallower, and then it ceased. The serpents retreated. They didn't flee in a panic, but slowly, silently, they slithered back into the shadows of the forest, as if they too recognized the profound sacrifice they had just witnessed. Kalen knelt, reaching out a trembling hand. He touched the lion's fur. It was still warm. In that moment, he felt a heavy weight settle on his heart. This wasn't just salvation. This was a battle fought for nothing, a silent sacrifice, an act of sheer heroism. Hours passed. Kalen remained by the lion's side. He didn't speak. He didn't cry. For some emotions are ineffable. Some farewells demand only silence. As the day faded into evening, the sky turned to gold. The wind began to stir again. The birds resumed their song. The forest had accepted what had happened. But Kalen knew that silent hero, that lion, was now forever a part of the land. When Kalen finally returned, he carried not only the scars of a battle, but the silent heroism of a lion. It was a story etched in nature's own language. And perhaps the most difficult question now falls to you. Do you think this crimson mane was just an ordinary animal, or was it much, much more than that? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, please like the video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more powerful narratives. See you in the next story.